you. So as I said, I'm in charge of admissions for the Bachelor Liberal Arts and Sciences. So that means that everything that I'll be sharing with you today only applies to this bachelor's degree. There are many more bachelor degrees at our university, and all of them have separate entry requirements. So in case you are also interested in other programs, keep in mind that the process or requirements could be very different from ours. So first, a bit about our program. So we have a selective program. Selection means that we have more freedom compared to other programs to select the students that really fit in our student profile. It also means that we are not a numerus fixus program. So many of you probably heard the term numerus fixus, which means that there is a set number of students that's being admitted to a program every year. But they have a different procedure. Usually they do not have selection based on motivation like we do, but they use a different system to select their students. And also with numerus fixus programs, it's very often the case that you can only apply for 2 programs. Well, that is not the case for our program. So for Liberal Arts and Sciences program in the Netherlands, you can apply up to 4 different liberal arts and sciences programs in the Netherlands. And that means that alongside the 4 liberal arts and sciences programs, if you have other interests, you can also apply for more bachelor degrees within our university. So a bit more about holistic. So what does it mean to have an holistic admissions process? It means that we do not only look at the grades that you obtained during your secondary education, but we also take into account the motivation that you have for studying our program. So the process is as follows. First, we check your secondary education to see if it's up to the level of the highest level of secondary education we have in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, it's called VWO, and it has to be an international equivalent of this level of education. If you have any questions about whether your secondary education is of the same level, feel free to drop it in the chat box and I can let you know if your diploma will make you eligible for our bachelor's degree. So next to looking at your level of secondary education, we also take into account the grades that you obtained in your program. So for Dutch students, it means at least a 6.5 overall GPA. And this translates differently to other international diplomas, of course. So if you are meeting these entry requirements, then you will be taken to the next step, which is selection based on motivation video. So we do not ask for motivation statements, so you don't have to write anything. We also do not take into account recommendation letters. That's a question that we get fairly often, but we do not need those documents. We only need the motivation video. And then we have a board of admissions. The board of admissions are a number of lecturers who teach in our program. They are the ones who ultimately decide whether a student is admitted to the program or not. And I will tell you a bit more about this video at a later slide. I didn't mention this before, but if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. You don't have to wait till the end. I don't mind answering questions in between the slides. All right, so a bit about the entry requirements. This is something that I already mentioned. So for VWO, it's a minimum GPA of 6.5. You can also see how this translates to other international diplomas. Just out of my own interest, could you let me know which diploma you will obtain before studying at our university, possibly? The ones that you will see on the screen are, Sarina raised her hand. Sarina, feel free to drop it in the chat box. Then everybody can also read. So the diplomas that you see on the slide are, Cecilia, I've obtained my VWO this year. Great. American High School, 2 more VWO, IB, Matura in Austria, Abitur. Nice. It's a nice mix of Dutch and international diplomas. So those fit right in the slide as well. These diplomas that you see are the most common diplomas of our students. So you will see VWO. Only a smaller percentage of our students actually have a VWO diploma. The majority of our students actually have an international baccalaureate diploma. That's the diploma that is very common within our program. US, nice. All right. So I was talking about the GPA requirements. So the GPA requirement is very important. But next to the GPA requirements, another very important thing is English language proficiency. So for VWO students, this means that you have to obtain at least a 7 on your transcript, your final diploma, to meet the language requirement. And for the students from the IB and the American High School diploma, you do not need to submit any proof of English language proficiency, because I assume that you've been taught and assessed in English, well, for at least your entire secondary education period. But English is a very important thing before studying with us. Our program is, of course, 100% English taught. So it's very important that everybody has a good level of English in order to participate in class. So this is a very important one. This is also something that we will pay attention to in your motivation video, to make sure that you can freely express yourself in this language. So the selection process. I already mentioned that selection happens based on grades and level and the video. So as you can see, we have 2 mandatory questions which you can read on the screen. And then there is 1 additional question. So you can choose out of the 3 that you can see on your screen. So with these questions, we are just very interested in knowing what it is that you actually want to study within the liberal arts and sciences, because as you know, the program is very broad and we have students interested in social sciences, humanities. The interests are very diverse, and we are just curious to know if you already have a sense of what you might want to study. If you do not know this yet, don't worry. We see many different students in the application procedure. We have students who, So declining that call. We have students who already have a bit of an idea. We have students who have so many interests that they don't want to choose yet. We have students who have different interests and who can't make a choice yet. So it's okay if you don't have an idea yet, but we are interested just to make sure that it is also matching with our program. So for example, let's say that you want to study something very specific and we can't offer that within our program, then it's good to know beforehand, so you are not disappointed, and well, we aren't as well. So that's why you want to know what your academic interests are as well. We're also interested in why you want to study at UCG and in Groningen specific. And then the additional questions, we find it very important that we have students who also fit in well with our student body. So typically our students have a very international background. They have very international orientation. They like to be a part of a smaller community. So as you know, our program only has 150 seats. So it's very small scale. So we're looking for students who are interested in these aspects, but also who feel like they can contribute something to the community that we have. So it's important that you tell us a bit about yourself and how you see yourself contributing to our community. Could be, for example, that you're interested in sports activities or social activities, academic activities. Just inform us, and we really appreciate knowing how you see yourself being a part of our community. And these questions help the Board of Admissions assess those things. So that's why we have these questions. You have a maximum of 5 minutes in the video, and we need to see you for at least a couple of minutes in the video as well. So we received videos which were fully animated, which was very cool, but we also want to see someone speak English instead of only hear them speaking it. So besides that, you can be as creative as you want to be, but the most important thing is that our board sees who you are. So please present in a way that is, well, matches who you are. All right, next slide. So a bit about the application process. So in the Netherlands, the application procedure for higher education all starts in StudyLink. So if you go to StudyLink, you can select our university, our bachelors, and then submit an application. Then for non-VWO students, you will receive an email guiding you to a portal called Progress Portal. And in this portal, we ask you to submit a number of documents. VWO students, they will receive a different email asking for an admissions request. And in this admissions request, you pretty much upload the same documents as these students do in Progress Portal. It's just a different route that exists for Dutch degree diplomas and non-Dutch diplomas. So what do we need? So we need transcripts of your final 2 years of secondary education. So for VWO, this means from your 5th year and from your final year, the grades obtained thus far, if you have any already. But if you already obtained your diploma, then we just need your diploma and the final grade list. For the non-VWO students, we need a proof of enrollment as well. And this proof of enrollment should include the full native name of the diploma that you will obtain and the date of graduation. And these documents should be signed and stamped by someone from your school. Also, for the non-VWO students, if your documents are not in Dutch, English, German, or French, we need English translations, but I think that's not the case for anyone in this group. So proof of English proficiency only if it's needed. So if you are not meeting the requirements, we need an additional English test. We need a resume, and of course, very important, the motivation video. So what happens after you complete your application? And then with complete, I mean submitting a complete application, so all your documents. So once all your documents are in, oh wait, I see a question about the videos. Is it important that you make an edited video, or is it also okay to just answer the questions with no effects or changes of scenery? Cecilia, yes, that's also fine, of course. At the end, it's about the content of the video, not making it look very flashy. So yeah, that's also fine. So what happens after you complete the application? The maximum processing time is 6 weeks, but usually it's closer to 3 or 4 weeks. It depends a bit on when you apply. If you submit an application right before Christmas, keep in mind our university is closed for 2 weeks. So those 2 weeks will be added to the processing times. So it depends a bit on how busy it is. There's a maximum processing time of 6 weeks, but usually we are faster. So if you meet the conditions, if you meet the requirements for entry, you will receive a conditional offer. And a conditional offer means that you are not fully admitted yet, but that there are certain conditions connected to the offer that we give you. Usually conditions are, well, first, passing the selection procedure. Second, obtaining your secondary high school, your diploma, of course. And usually those are the only two conditions that there are. If you pass the selection procedure after obtaining the conditional offer, then I will send you a separate email saying, congratulations, you passed the selection procedure. And in that email, there is a document called Confirmation of Participation Statement. And this is a document that you then sign, stating your intent to actually study with our program next year. And then after signing it, you send it back to me. And then I will let you know if you have a guaranteed spot in our program. So as I already mentioned, we only have 150 spots available. And those spots are reserved for the first 150 people who send me their confirmation of participation statement. So there is no deadline for submitting the confirmation of participation statement. However, keep in mind that the longer you wait with sending me the document, the bigger the chances are of someone else obtaining one of the first 150 spots. So after 150, we are running a wait list. That doesn't mean that if you're on a wait list, that the chances are very slim of getting in, because over the summer, spots open up again. It's very common for students who apply for the liberal arts and sciences program that they apply to multiple programs, since most of the liberal arts and sciences programs are selective, so you never know if you get in. So that also means that there are many students who have reserved spots at multiple programs. So the chances are very big that spots open up over the summer when students make their final decision. But since you are now here at Digital UCG, I assume that you are probably motivated to apply early. So I don't think you have to worry about ending up on the wait list. How many people usually apply? Around 800 students usually apply per year. All right, complete the enrollment steps plus meet conditions as stated in your decision letter. Well, that's of course very important. And you might be wondering, what are the enrollment steps? So once you are in, once you have a guaranteed spot, I kindly ask you to complete the enrollment steps, which are registering for courses and selecting a room in our student housing if you want to live there. So can you sign the COP and later decide you want to study somewhere else? Yes. So the COP is not a binding or legal document. So if you change your mind about studying with us, all you have to do is just send me an email saying I want to give my spot to someone else, and then that's absolutely fine. So there will not be any negative implications for changing your mind. You will not receive a fee or nothing. And also, it doesn't influence your chances of getting in any other programs. So let's say you apply for our program and, well, I'm just saying one psychology, for example, which is numerus fixus. Having an offer with us doesn't have any influence on any of the other applications that you might have going on. All right, so you're welcome. All right, so I'll go to the next slide. So these are just some good to keep in mind points. So the available spots, 150 every year. We run a wait list after the first 150. So an admission is on a rolling basis. So timing is important. So there are some programs in the Netherlands who have dates on which they share if you have a guaranteed spot or not. And usually have like 2 moments in the year when you can hear if you're in at a certain program. We don't have that. We give out conditional offers when eligible students apply. So we have a process that goes on from the 1st of October until the 1st of May, the deadline. As I already said, we are not a numerus fixus program. For those of you who are in need of a visa, please make sure to apply on time, especially very important for you, as the university needs at least 6 to 8 weeks for arranging a visa for you. Then we have the early bird deadline. These are very important deadlines. So as you probably know, a university college very often has housing, and we have that as well. So we have a student accommodation, which is called Libertas. It's a very nice, modern building close to the city center, where many, if not all, University College Groningen students live. However, the building does not have an unlimited number of rooms. So if you wish to live in Libertas, the main UCG housing, it's important to apply before the early bird deadline, because the students who submit their full application before 15 January, they are the ones who have a guaranteed room in Libertas. It's possible that the students who apply after the early bird deadline also have a room in Libertas. However, it's not guaranteed anymore, because there's also a possibility of Libertas being full at a certain moment in time. We do have then another building as well that students can live in. So there is a guaranteed room for everyone, but I just can't guarantee that everyone can live in Libertas, which is the official UCG building. Where is the other building for students? So it is not, it's also in the city, of course. It's probably in a neighborhood called Selwerd. I don't know if you're familiar with the neighborhoods in Groningen at all. It's a bit further away from the city center, but it's also a nice building, which is also newly renovated from the inside. So quality-wise, you will not have poor living environment, but you will live in a building with many other University of Groningen students as well. And we can imagine that it's the nicest environment is to live with all of your classmates in one building. And we cannot guarantee that in the other building, since it's much larger, with many more different students from different programs as well. Yeah. So final deadline is 1 May. I would recommend to apply way before that, of course. So you also don't need to wait with applying. So if you have not graduated, that's absolutely fine. Graduating your secondary school can be one of the conditions in the decision letter. So there's no need to wait unless you do not have the GPA of a 6.5 right now, because we will only calculate your GPA once. So if you apply now and you have a GPA below 6.5 and you think, oh, I'll make sure to do my best and raise the GPA, unfortunately, that does not work, because we only calculate it at the moment when you apply. We do not calculate it again towards the end of the year. So check your GPA before applying. Otherwise, it could be the case that you will not make it through to the next stages of the enrollment process. Is there a maximum of Dutch students you accept? No. So we do not differentiate between nationality or country where someone lives. So if we give the spots to the eligible students who apply, if 20% of them are Dutch, then we have 20% Dutch students, or we do not really take a look at that. And also we see that many students have double nationality, so that's very common. So what even is a Dutch student, right? Is it someone who has a Dutch nationality, somebody who lived there? Usually the cultural and cultural backgrounds of our applicants are so diverse that even if a student is Dutch, it's very likely that they grew up in a different country or only lived here for a short amount of time. So we never really look at where you're from or what's your nationality. We just look at, are you a good fit for the program or not? But to give you some numbers, based on the nationality, around 30% of our students have a Dutch nationality. But it doesn't mean that they grew up here. It just says something about their nationality. Is there a possibility for financial aid? And if so, if there's a deadline for applying for it. So we as a faculty do not offer any financial aid or any scholarships. This is all arranged by the Dutch government. So you can apply for student funding at the Dutch government if you have an EU or Dutch nationality. All right, and my last slide is a bit about fees and living costs for this year. So I specifically mentioned current year because sometimes it changes a bit per year. So this is what it is right now. However, the tuition fees are the same for next year, by the way. So what you will see right now is that these are the fees for the next academic year, which starts in September 2024. So then these are the amounts that you will pay per year, depending on your nationality. Also, if you want to live in Libertas, then you will have to pay between 600 and 650 per month. It depends a bit on the size of the room that you have as well. So it's anywhere between those two numbers. It includes, of course, the facilities, water, gas, Wi-Fi, and every room has their own bathroom. So that's included. All of that is included in the price. And then the other costs is, of course, depending on your lifestyle. But this is an estimation that we have based on the students that we have here right now. Of course, accommodation is not mandatory for our students. However, we do encourage it because we would like our students to create bonds with each other outside of the classroom. And we really see that the typical UCG community is quite close. So there are many connections being made between students, but also between students and staff, because it's such a small scale environment. And that's something that we like for our students. And that's why we also ask our students to live in Libertas to strengthen the relationships that already exist between our students. However, if you do not want to live there and if you want to find your own room, that's also a possibility, but I'm not sure how familiar you are with the current housing crisis that there is all over the Netherlands and especially in the bigger university cities. So it's actually very difficult to find a room. If you do not want to live in Libertas, I would really encourage you to start looking for a room straight away if you want to find one. But you can also live in Libertas and not worry about that at all. Is it also possible to live in Groningen in a building not through the university? Oh, yeah. Yes, the answer is yes. But just then let me know after you get admitted to the program. Just let me know, I do not want to live in Libertas. And then I will make a note of that. And then I will also not ask you to proceed with booking a room there. So these were all of my slides. I hope that the admissions process is now much clearer to you. Just out of interest, have some of you applied already? If you haven't, that's also completely fine. I'm just curious to, okay, that's one yes. Yes, ma'am. Will be applying next year. Oh yeah, of course, that's also a possibility. Yeah. Not yet. We'll do over December break. Oh yeah, nice. And we have a lot of time. Although I'm still deciding what I am going to study. Yeah, well, of course, you applying early, that's always a good idea. So then you already know what your options are, and then you can still make a decision later on, of course. Okay. Well, are there any questions about any of this? Please let me know. Can you explain the proof of enrollment again? Yeah, so the proof of enrollment, that is a document that I believe your school, or that very often schools can give to their students, where it's written down what the name of the diploma is and when the student will receive the diploma. So that is just proof for us to know that a student is actually enrolled at the school where they claim they are enrolled at. So for example, for Dutch students, I can check via the Dutch system called Duo if they are actually going to school, which usually they do, but we can't check that for international degrees. That's why we ask for a proof of enrollment to verify that this student is actually obtaining a certain diploma. Is there the possibility to double major in UCG? Good question. So a double major is not typically a term that we use. So at UCG, I already briefly mentioned the three main categories: social sciences, sciences, and humanities. So these are three majors that we have. However, there's actually a fourth one, and that's called the free major. So if you choose the free major, it means that you can choose courses out of the three main categories, but not limit yourself to the boundaries of a certain major. So for example, if you want to study something like PPE, which is a very, well, I'm not saying very well known, but which is quite commonly known. It's this. That's politics, philosophy, and economics. So for example, that is already interdisciplinary because philosophy falls in the humanities, for example, politics and economics fall in the social sciences. So you can, for example, create your major in such a way that you are incorporating aspects from the three main categories into your own personalized program. So a double major, we don't use that term because then you would probably be a free major student who is choosing the courses that you want to follow outside of those disciplinary boundaries. I hope that answered your question. So you're interested in majoring in psychology and medical sciences. So that's very much possible. So you can combine psychology with courses out of our health and life sciences category. So you can combine your interest in both domains into one program, but we just don't call it a double major. We call it a free major. So what you're describing is very much possible, but I don't know, maybe other university colleges have the term double major. We don't use that. We just have a free major. Do you reckon something like this would feel? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Psychology is a very popular direction within our program. And the medical sciences, so we call it health and life sciences, is also a direction that many students are interested in. So combining those two is definitely possible within our program. When is the next possible time to visit UCG? Well, we have an open day on 2 February, which is on a Friday. So then you can come and visit us. However, we also, and now I will drop a link in the chat box, you can also visit us as a student for a day. And then you can tag along with a current UCG student So then a current UCG student will meet you here in our building, and the student will take you to a class, and you can check out Libertas, and you can chat and just get to know each other. That's a student for a day. And that's possible on many different days when we offer classes. So that's being scheduled individually. So in that form that you can see on the website, you can just fill in, oh, I can make it, or I'm available on these and these and these dates. And then we'll try to make that work together with you. Building on Cleo's question, can we take courses outside of UCG, or that would be reserved for a semester abroad? Very good question. So yes, you can take courses outside of our faculty. There are a number of credits, which is very formally written down in our teaching and examination regulations. It states that there are a certain number of credits that you can obtain with other faculties within the university. So let's say that there are certain specific courses, I'll stick to the psychology example, that you find interesting, but which are not offered with us, but are offered at the Faculty of Behavioral and Social Sciences, where the Bachelor of Psychology is being taught. It is possible to also take those courses outside of UCG if you want to, but we have many courses on offer ourselves as well. But yes, you do have that option. And then again, you have that option, of course, in your minor, which is the first semester of the third year. Then you can also take courses outside of our faculty, of course, in your minor space. So you can take a minor at any of the other faculties of our university or at a different university in the Netherlands or abroad. About the video, how formal should it be? Not formal at all. No. There's no need for formality in your motivation video, unless that's part of your personality and that's something that you prefer. Then of course that is absolutely fine, but we do not expect a very formal video. Can I choose a focus area, for example, in the social sciences, and choose additionally major elective courses that don't have anything to do with the courses of the focus area? What you are describing, Aglaya, is a free major, actually. So for example, if you want to have your main focus in the social sciences, you can. But if you also want to do major electives outside of the social sciences, let's say you want to, well, now sticking to the example we've been using again, because psychology and health and life sciences are both in very different domains. So for example, if you want to focus mainly on psychology in the social sciences, you can still choose courses, for example, in the sciences area, or more specifically in the health and life sciences, and combine your program in such a way that it matches both of those interests. So what you're describing is a free major, and yes, that is possible within our program. I think we're out of questions. So I want to thank you all. Yes, you're very welcome, Serena. So I thank you all for being here. Wish you a very pleasant evening. Keep in mind, there is a Digital UCG session tonight with some of our students, which is also very interesting. They will give examples of what they are studying as well, how their interdisciplinary program, what it looks like. So that's also interesting to see what combinations are possible, actually. So at 7 o'clock tonight, which is in about 2 hours. So maybe I'll see you again tonight, and otherwise, hope to see you in Groningen someday. All right, bye-bye. Thank you for will that be recorded? Tonight will be recorded as well, yes. And everybody who registered will receive all of the videos, including this one. Yeah, you're welcome. Goodbye.